Folks, this is a very special episode of So Bad It's Good. About a year and a half ago, I was aware of this man, but got to meet him in the flesh. And since then, I've actually become friends with this guy.
Do you have to look at your computer to say we're friends?
No, I'm looking at this camera right here.
Oh, okay.
How dare you? I don't even look. It's just Doug.
Oh,
Budin.
I thought you looked down. You were like,
well, I was
going to
say something really nice, but I was saying I've actually become friends with this man, and it's so nice when somebody appears to be good in real life and then turns out to be even better when you actually meet them. He is insanely talented. He's an actor, a singer, a chef, cooking Kibbitz every Thursday at 5 p.m. on Instagram Pacific Standard Time. I got to know him on Jeff Lewis Live. We have the one and only Doug Budin. That really ruined my intro.
Showman. Oh, I'm sorry, Ryan. Thank you for having me. May I say, this is a very fancy studio.
Isn't this nice?
This is a real. Am I on camera here?
You're on camera. That's your camera. That's my camera, and that's
multicam. There are monitors. There are lights. This is like 7 steps up from a Zoom.
I know. Well, that was our first recording was through the internet. Yeah. So you were nice enough to come all the way to Burbank to do this in person.
That's right. We are in Burbank.
In deep Burbank.
Yeah, it's in the upper 80s here. We're near the airport, I think.
By the way, I bet you could tell us the history of Burbank. You know the history of everything.
I don't, but I do know that Bob Hope Drive is not named after Bob Hope. In his memory, he named it Bob Hope because he owned all that property. He was like the largest landowner in the valley.
Yeah.
That's my fun
Doug Budin, ladies and gentlemen. Amazing. You just got back from New York. Obviously, you grew up there. Your mom is still there. Now you're in Angelino. How long have you been in Los Angeles?
25 years.
I always ask, what's the difference between New York and L.A. to you?
Well, I mean, I was going to say one's on the West Coast. I will always think of myself as a New Yorker.
Yeah.
I loathe driving. Like, it's a huge thing here. You have to drive. And I really, really, really don't like driving. And I just feel like you could be here for a week and never go outside your house. You can really just be solitary here. And in New York, you wake up and within half an hour, you've run into 10,000 people.
Yeah.
And you can get anything you want at any hour of the day. Not that you need wonton soup at 3 a.m, but it's like you can get it. And I just sort of run into more people in New York just because you are out and about. But I feel like LA is maybe an easier place to live. Like here, I'm like, oh, I need a lemon. I'll just go to my lemon tree and pick my
Doug has
lemons,
the most beautiful house and backyard where the sheds are, obviously, but also a lemon tree. And you're always, is there ever a period of your life where you were an asshole? Because, I mean, I will say, I feel like you're the Tom Hanks of this group that I'm in. Like, everybody loves Doug. It's a very low bar. Yeah, by the way, it's a very low bar. Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's always, I truly try to always be kind. I really do.
Yeah.
It's just easier.
But you think of people. You go out of your way to actually check in on people.
You don't?
No, I do, but I think there's something... I don't know. There's always a very nice feeling when you get a text from Doug. And I will say what he's here today to talk about. I'll sometimes get texts from Doug talking about reality shows.
Yeah, well, because you are such an authority that and there are actually very few people in my life that watch reality television, truly. So you're somebody like I love that I could reach out to you. And also a lot of times my questions are sort of dumb. They're so dumb they're not even Googleable. So I will try to Google first, and I'm like, oh, there's no... Ryan will know.
Well, I'm so used to friends humoring me because of my reality show addiction. They're like, hey, I saw a Vanderpump name and I thought of you. But then, sometimes you'll ask a very pointed question where I'll be like, okay, you want to get into this? Like, and that's kind of my language.
Yeah, so I appreciate it.
Well, I mean, in terms of reality TV, I know you are a fan of the arts in general.
Yeah.
What is the first reality show? It could be growing up, it could be even the last 5 years, that you fell in love with or you paid attention to, because a lot of people are elitists and will turn their nose up at reality TV.
MTV, the Real World. Yeah, I loved The Real World. I watched, I think, probably all of them. And by the time it was in New Orleans, you remember with the gay Danny? Was that
Yeah,
his name?
yeah.
And he was dating that guy in the military. I feel like that was.
And they had to blur out his face. Yes.
I feel like that was the height of my obsession with the real world. And then I went to New Orleans with my friend Sal, and the second I saw the house, I recognized the house.
A young Doug Budin, tears streaming down his face.
So I really, I guess, I mean, I was pretty young when the real world was on. I was, I guess, just out of college maybe. So I definitely have always watched reality television. And in fact, Bravo, I used to watch The It Factor. That was like, and that was, they had a new actor named Jeremy Renner who had just filmed
I've tried to
Dahmer,
explain this to people.
and it wasn't released yet. So he was waiting for it to get released, and he was going on all these auditions. So
I remember him like laying out by a pool. And he was like reading a script and like trying to get his next thing. Or like I remember a conversation about him potentially playing a vampire or something.
That's right. So I mean, that was before Bravo. That was like a lowercase b Bravo. So yeah, and I mean, I'm trying to think of anything that came before that. And
well, I mean, you have like where reality shows really started was PBS's American Family, which was in like 1972, 73, I think, and it documented the Loud family, and it actually had the first representation of a gay person on a show like this because the son came out, like he moved to New York and he wanted to be part of Andy Warhol's like factory, and by some happenstance, the father and mother ended up getting a divorce, like towards the end of film.
This was in the 70s?
Yeah, this is towards the end of filming, and PBS. They had said yes to this, not knowing what they had said yes to. But it made this huge splash. Like, I wasn't alive yet, but it made this huge splash. And then it took all of this time to get to a place where the real world came, which was another huge gamble, but it exploded for TV.
Right. And then it sort of, but it diverged, right? Because then there are some docu-series.
Yeah.
Because I watched Frontier House, and I watched all of those, which are much more docu-style than the reality TV
Well, there's
style.
respectable and ethical storytelling, and then there is the other side.
Right.
You know? And Bravo, I mean, it's a mixture of both at times, but it is also just flashy and young and sexy. And you'll never dip into something like Love Island.
No, I've never watched.
Yeah,
I don't really watch a lot of the love, like the Bachelor.
Because you don't believe in love.
No, truly, I never got involved in any of those shows, and I don't watch them now. People love Love Island and The Bachelor and all of those series.
I felt dirty the other day, Doug. I watched Love Island. And
what is it?
So well, first off, you got to be hot, and you got to have abs, and you're pretty much in just your undies the whole time. But it's a bunch of single men and women, and you are coupling up, and you're just in this villa. You have no access to the outside
single,
world.
Or is this the one
they're
where
all single. They're all
okay.
single. Well, some of them lie and say they're single because they know they're going to get famous, so they leave their situationships at home. And that's the fascinating part about it, is that it's not just the show; it's all the stuff that comes out about these people, and they have no access. They don't know we know. So all of these people's boyfriends and girlfriends are like, "Hey, I was just dating this person 2 weeks ago. They said they had to go away for a minute."
Well, why would you go on TV? Surely you know everything will come out about you
because
at some point, right?
The taste of this low level fame, like that I think about this all the time. You get an Instagram following, you get brand deals, and then last season of Love Island USA was so successful. And it set these kids up, not for life, obviously, but now they have a spinoff that's coming out on Peacock. So you have this dangling over your head of like, I want to be somebody. This is amazing and flashy. Let's do it.
Yeah, but then you become, I mean, I don't know. Then you're famous
they're
for
kids.
being
They're 23
liar.
years old.
I have a caveat. I do watch Love on the Spectrum.
See, let's get Love on the Spectrum in the Love Island Villa. That'd be amazing.
That I loved. And I watched one episode of a show where people, they need a visa.
Oh, 90 Day Fiancé.
90 Day Fiancé. I watched one episode of that.
So Love on the Spectrum is so much more beautiful and well told.
I love
than
it. The
90 Day
Australian one.
Fiance.
Yeah, that one where they had to use a Google translator to talk to each other. Like, he was Hungarian. Oh God, I couldn't. I had no patience for it, and it just seemed so manufactured to me. I wasn't interested.
That's the thing too, is that I think as the older I get, the more I want to be told the truth. Not in my own life, but just on TV.
Yeah.
And you're just like, come on, like there's no way. There's just no way. Which you're also a fan of Below Deck, like I am. Did you watch last night's episode?
Okay.
The poop?
I have one thing to say first. For people who are listening and watching, this is like, I feel a little bit like two straight guys. Like, this seems a little bit like a sports-looking setup. I feel like we're going to go for the game.
What's up, you guys?
And he played a terrific inning.
Are you kidding me? Like, I'm the least manly guy ever. What are you talking about?
And then there's me, which helps you. But I feel a little bit now like we're at a sports show.
What are you talking? I'm not.
It's like I just seems it.
You a boob guy or a butt guy, Doug? What are you like?
How's your bracket, Bailey? All right, so Below Deck. So here's what happened. So last night, Elisa Donovan,
from Clueless, amazing actor.
She asked me to go to this reading she was doing last night, and Marissa Jarrett Winokur was in it, and Jodie Sweetin was in it, and this guy Drew Seeley with all these very accomplished actors.
Real quick, Drew Seeley. I just finished this book about the Disney Channel. Do you know he did Zac Efron's singing voice for High School Musical?
I did, only because I Wikipedia'd him maybe during the reading. I lowered the screen, brightness, and I was like, who is this very alluring man? And so I read all about him, and he also wrote Get in the Game.
Yeah, the big...
he was terrific. All that to say, so I went to this thing. It didn't get out until after 10, which for me, That's usually late. In bed by 10. I got home about 10:52, and I could not go to sleep until I watched Below Deck. So I watched it on my iPad, like with one eye open, just so I had to watch it, and I'll watch it again tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's new producers this season or something. Do you notice it's way flashier?
Well, that's what I was saying on the radio. It's filmed like when the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, that had a very cinematic style. The colors are popping more. It's just filmed in a much more cinematic way. It's beautiful, and I think it's fantastic. I love this series in general.
Yeah.
But this one looks and feels different from the others, which is great.
Well, I mean, they did. I talked about it on today's show just briefly. Was that I don't know if I needed the poop scene, the little piece of poop that you needed to clean up.
Yeah, we knew that was coming because that was in a coming up
trailer,
this season.
Yeah.
So the minute I heard Solène talk about it, I actually looked away. I do that a lot.
You looked away.
I looked away. Below Deck has a way of doing that. Do you remember when the chef cut his forehead or his hand and he was gushing blood? And I usually watch Below Deck while I'm having dinner. And I was like, no, guys, come on. And they also did a lot of fart sounds or vomit sounds once. And I just, to me, we don't need that.
That's the sign of me getting older where I was like, last night I was like, come on.
Yeah, we don't need that,
come
guys.
Come on. What do you think I am?
It's such a terrific show. Let's stay above that. But
what is it with, in terms of manufacturing, the first week of Below Deck, we had a scene where they left all the luggage on the dock. Now, I thought that was well shot, well edited, and then a week goes by and I'm like, was that real or fake? Because at any point, a camera guy or whoever's getting the shot of the luggage be like, hey, the luggage is still here. Or are they just told not to interfere? Is that real or fake?
Well, we've learned that they are explicitly told not to interfere. They're not supposed to talk to each other. In fact, the one major breach of that protocol was when, was it Joao? Who was it who was drowning? And the camera guy jumped in and saved him, right? Was it? I can't remember if it was Joao. No, it was the other guy. Anyway, so they don't. So what I could imagine happening is the producers and the camera guy saying to each other in their ears, oh my God, do you think they're going to leave the luggage? Oh my God, they're leaving the luggage. They're leaving the luggage.
And they're like, hell
oh
yeah,
my God.
hell yeah.
But they're not going to say anything to the crew.
Yeah. Because, I mean, that was something I keep that couldn't be real. And I'm like, I want it to be real.
Amazing.
I believed it was real. And then the other thing that we had on this week's episode was that the chef officially quit.
Yeah.
But he was going to stay around. So the chef from, I think, last season's coming back.
Yeah.
Anthony. And that was the thing, too, because the chef really knocked it out of the park on this last meal. According to the the charter guest said like this is the most better food than his mom made.
Except the one thing which we heard 4
steak.
times was he doesn't like the slightest bit of color or pink or anything in his steak. He even said it as they sat down to dinner, and yet the chef still prepared
Chefs
it.
are, especially with the meat. And by the way, that is a monster request just to burn a piece of steak. But I get that that's the guest. But like also we find out this man's story. He's born again.
Yeah.
Jesus, he thinks that we're in end days.
Yeah, these are the end of
these are the end of days. I thought was great. Guys, I am not big on trends, but I am big on clothes that feel good and last. I keep things for years at a time, and that's why I keep going back to Quince. Their lightweight layers and high-quality staples have become my everyday essentials. I use this stuff, and you should too. In fact, I pulled out, for those of watching on YouTube, my beautiful navy breathable Quince sports jacket. Are you kidding me? I just wore it this week. In fact, I lost a couple lbs so I could finally fit back into it. I'm so excited. Quince has all the things that you actually want to wear this summer, like organic cotton silk polos, European linen beach shorts, and comfortable pants that work for everything from backyard hangs to nice dinners. And the best part, everything with Quince is half the cost of similar brands. If you don't believe me, go directly to their website. They work directly with top artisans and cut out the middleman. Quince gives you luxury pieces without the markups. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabric and finishes. Guys, I even have socks from Quince. I love the color navy blue. I have like a navy blue button-up shirt. I've bought jewelry from Quince for my sister. Everybody gets something from Quince if you're in my life. So stick to the staples that last with elevated essentials from Quince. Go to QUINCE.com/SOBAD for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/SOBAD to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/SOBAD. Have you ever walked into a grocery store and you had no idea what to get? I do that all the time. So I've stopped wasting time at the grocery store and I stopped staring at their gigantic wall of wines. I never knew what to pick, and that's why I love our next sponsor, Naked Wines. They are amazing. This podcast is sponsored by Naked Wines. It's 2025. Do you still shop for wine like it's 2005? Naked Wines is a service that directly connects you to the world's finest independent winemakers so you can get award-winning wine delivered straight to your door. Use our code SOBAD for the code and password at nakedwines.com and get their incredible deal of 6 bottles for just $39.99. We just cracked open a bottle a couple weeks ago and we were like just playing a bunch of music and it was the most perfect night and I didn't even have to leave my home. And all you have to do is go on their website and you even fill out what you like and they send you a beautiful selection. With no commitments or membership fees, you can enjoy Naked Wines hassle-free. And don't forget, this is huge. You can pause or cancel at any time. So just because you got a trip coming up doesn't mean you can't enjoy Naked Wines before or after that much-needed vacation. So now is the time to join the Naked Wines community. Head to nakedwines.com/SOBAD, click Enter Voucher, and just put in my code SOBAD for both the code and the password for 6 bottles of wine for just $39.99 with shipping included. Are you kidding me? Shipping's included? That's $100 off your first 6 bottles of wine at nakedwines.com/SOBAD and use the code and password SOBAD for 6 bottles of wine at $39.99. Guys, this is a no-brainer. You got to do this.
And I love how Fraser was like, no, not today. Like, I don't have time for that.
But like, do we have another chef? Like, do they have these people at the ready? Because I'm like, how are they going to get this guy so quickly?
Well, is it Below Deck Med, when Captain Sandy is always calling or texting Norma, right? She's like, hey, Norma, I need another stew. So Norma's like, I got him on backup. I have a feeling that they do have people on standby. The way, like on Survivor, for example, or Amazing Race, they'll have complete teams and people ready to go in a hotel room as a just in case, as an understudy, if you will. So I'm sure that they have a backup chef and 3 backup stews and 2 backup deckhands, and
Yeah. Which, by the way, you watch Survivor, right?
Not anymore.
But you used to.
I used to. I mean, really back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, I was like Richard Hatch day one.
Yeah, Richard. And Susan and her. That year, everybody was doing that as their audition monologues. Today, I remember somebody at Pasadena Playhouse. She was like, we were all talking about what monologue you're doing, and she goes, "I will be doing Susan from Survivor," and it was if you were lying on the side of the road, I'd give you no drop to drink. That whole yes, that was her audition monologue.
And by the way, they did not expect Survivor to be the hit it was, and then that was one of the highest rated nights in television. Still to this day, that night, and I remember watching that, not knowing what to expect, and just being so riveted. And I was like, "You have such an interesting." Mind, you're smart, you have all of these qualities. Would you ever do a competition reality series?
I don't think so. And I know it's going to be crazy. I was asked to audition for a competition show that's going to film in September. And it's like the 5th season. It's a cooking show. And my immediate answer was no. And it's a very nice prize. And then they were like, well, just watch a few episodes of the previous season. And I did. And it's not for me. It was...
Aren't we supposed to say yes to things?
Yeah, and this shoots overseas for up to 3 weeks. And all of that was amazing. But the tenor of the show was not for me. It's a little too mean-spirited. And I'm not going to thrive. I already have so much working against me like that. To put myself in that kind of position, I wouldn't want.
What do you have working against you?
The world, Ryan, the world. So I would love to do Amazing Race, but not on television. I would love
I'd love to play traitors, but I wouldn't want people to see it.
But not exactly. So there's that.
Well, I will say I've always said no to all of this stuff, and I'm kind of not protective, but my personal life is sometimes I'm willing to share all of this but I'll keep this aspect of my life. And it is interesting. I've always said this, but then I go on Jeff's and parts of your life will be talked about, not exploited, but talked about or made fun of.
Yes.
And I'm okay with that. I found I was like, wow, I used to not be okay, but I'm I love going in there. I love getting made fun of, actually. Did you ever have any bones? Well, I mean, to a degree, but I genuinely think it's funny, or I think Jeff's really funny. But have you ever been I don't want to share all of this because you seem like you want to do that. I don't want to do reality series. It'd be like this. Do you ever have that?
I don't know. I don't really think about it too often. I just feel like, if something really, there have been times where I've talked about something with Jeff and I'm it's not something I can talk about on the radio. But everything else, it's sort of, it's also, I'm 56. If I can't figure out a way to extricate myself from a part of a conversation, well, then I have more work I got to do. So, the other thing is nothing is too serious, so.
Well, that's the thing. It's all done in jest to a degree. We're all laughing,
we're having fun.
Usually. And sometimes if it does sting a little bit, that makes me even laugh harder because I'm I can't believe they got me here,
and now that they took the video away, I mean, it's because people used to see, I would crumple up paper and throw it. I would crumple paper into a ball and I throw it at Jeff's head because, it's we're having fun.
Yeah. I always be I actually, like I said in the intro that you interrupted, was that I said, I consider you a friend. I'm oh God, I wish I was younger so I could have more years with Doug, being Doug's friend.
Because I'm going to be dead soon?
No, because I am.
Oh, no, I'm going to be dead first.
I come on. Who knows how long this health journey is going to last. But I don't know. I always try to explain to people. I was I worked out of my little room doing podcasts to get out to meet people and to meet that whole crew is so fun. We get to go on this Vegas trip as influencers for interior.
Drink Interior, which is a great.
Use code Ryan or Doug. Wait, I don't know.
You got a code?
No, I don't. I'm just guessing we have a code to determine who's the best influencer.
Why do you say influencer?
Influencer. I don't know.
I find this interesting. People make fun of me all the time, but I'd like to poke fun at you for a moment. Influencer.
Okay, Jeff, calm down. Yeah, no, influencer.
I feel like the rest of the world says influencer.
Influencer. You know what?
Oh,
now
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get in
wow,
your
you
head.
really.
Wow, but everybody cut this. Jane, you don't need to see this. Cut this.
Influencer. We are invited on this influencer trip that Liat from the Heel to Feel podcast with Mercedes Javid. We got picked. I'm shocked. I got in at the last minute, but we're going on this like whirlwind day trip to Vegas where we get to gamble, and it's all for this interior drink, right?
Yeah.
Which is like a health drink.
It's like a journey. I just got delivery of mine today. There are so many different flavors and concoctions. I need to look this up.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to do it.
I just got a UPS alert that mine gets delivered tomorrow.
You should try to be home because it requires refrigeration upon receipt.
I will. I'll make sure I'm home.
They were, but mine did arrive with ice packs, so it was still cold.
But I mean, more importantly, we're going to go and gamble together.
Do you gamble?
Well, this was what I'm excited about because I don't know how to play roulette or the other. I know how to play blackjack and I know how to play slots.
Do you do poker?
I mean,
I've never played
yeah, that's so. Like, I'm like, maybe I could use this money to learn how to do one of those fun games.
You can YouTube. So I want to learn how to play poker. I'm got to tell you, I was in Vegas. I stood by the craps table a solid 20 minutes.
Couldn't figure it out.
I got no clue.
See?
You roll dice and you're either happy or you're sad, and I don't know why.
And I'm trying to think which of the 9 or 10 of us or how many people are going is nice enough to teach me. Because you know Jeff's not going to teach you. No. So you're like, where am I going to...
He'll take your money. He'll be like, give it to me. I'll invest it with me. I'll turn it around, kid. Carney, I feel the same way.
Well, Carney was just talking yesterday how she's not she loses money.
Yeah.
She gave you her debit card at ChumpCon.
That's right. I held on
and she
to
still
it.
found a way to lose money.
I know. Well, I like slot machines, but I don't think we're going to have those.
No.
I'd like to play 21. Is that
Blackjack.
Blackjack.
Yeah.
Do they do canasta?
I would like to play the Wheel of Fortune slot machine. Yeah. Well, because it's in like a private room area, right?
Yeah. The other thing is, because they're giving us money to gamble with.
But you want to keep
But
it.
I want to pay my mortgage. So I feel like I'll take a couple of $100, and I'm just going to walk around acting
See, sometimes
like
the
I'm
slot
gambling.
machines call to me. Like it's like a
Ryan,
siren.
Ryan, let it go. There's no slot machine in the private room. I'll tell you this. I'll meet you either before or after in the lobby, and we can slot machine it.
Okay, let's slot it up.
I love a Wheel of Fortune.
See, that's a
Ryan, 25 cents?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's you and I will have a meetup.
Okay, good. Secret meetup. None of you guys don't tell anybody about this.
Sports fans, don't tell anybody.
Okay, so Survivor, you will not be doing.
No.
We go back to Bravo.
Hey, wait, is Jeff Probst still the host?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they're filming season 50 right now.
50?
50.
How many years has it been on?
25, I think, or in that time period.
Wow. I hosted a Survivor season 1 finale party, and I had tiki torches, and
was this like in your backyard? Or?
Yeah, it was at my house, and my friend Patrick, the one who introduced me to Jeff.
Yeah.
Patrick, who, by the way, his assistant was Tig Notaro, and I feel like Tig.
Oh yeah, you told
was
me this
at
before.
at the party because it was for Patrick's whole staff, and I hosted, and that was season 1. So I remember I was already living here.
Well, I mean, like having lived in Los Angeles, like same as me, where you've lived here so long that you have all of these memories where you're like, yeah, I think I watched the Oscars with like the singer from Train one year, and I was like a weird year where it was like hitting on my friend, and it was like we wound up watching the Oscars. It was like the year Adrian Brody won like the first Oscar. Like,
and he kissed. Who did he kiss? Somebody?
Halle Berry.
Halle Berry.
Yeah.
That is weird living in LA. Like I was at the Elton John Academy Awards party a few times.
God. Yeah. There's like you just have these moments, and they desensitize you to those moments. Like I have so many Jay Leno and denim shirt sightings.
Same.
Yeah, or back in the day when I ran a nightclub like right on like Melrose, like in Boys Town a little bit, but it was right by where I don't know, Melrose. It's close to Sur. Andy Dick would always try to get into the bar hammered back in the day.
Yeah. There are a lot of stories.
A lot of Andy Dick stories out there. I hope he's good. Okay, back to Bravo.
Yeah, sorry.
No. So Below Deck, we love. Now, Summer House, you wouldn't think that Doug Budin would be into Summer House.
Why?
I don't know.
Because
I think
they're young?
No, not that. It's just there's like this. The taste isn't refined enough.
Well, I did grow up going out to Long Island, right? Every summer, I used to work on Fire Island. In fact, when I was in high school,
Where's that documentary?
Well, my friend Rick and I managed an ice cream store in Ocean Beach, and then we would go out to Sag Harbor.
Yeah,
and so I definitely grew up. I never would summer in the Hamptons. My family had a house upstate in the Berkshires, but we would split our time. So I would go out with friends out to Long Island, and so the idea of a summer share is something that I'm very, very familiar with. And so I watched it. And I remember I watched it when it first aired, and the Workus twins and Kyle, and
So you've been through all of like Carl's different teeth.
Yes, Carl's, because they were gray at first.
Yeah.
Then he got new one; they were too big. Then
Which why I got weirdly emotional at the reunion when he started talking about how much it
affected him.
Yeah.
When she said, "You and your big teeth," or whatever.
Well, Gabby said, "Oh, he's with his non-alc lover boy. What does he bring to Summer House?" I was like, "How dare you, Gabby?"
I mean, Carl's been there since the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have a couple of questions
please,
about the most recent season. I'm going to clear my throat. I'm looking for the cough button. What are your thoughts about Imrul only coming into the reunion for like a hello, I'm not just an orgy guy, and goodbye? Was that odd to you?
Very odd. I have a couple theories where I think that, he obviously comes on, shares this story where he wasn't, he was asked not to be at, his, I think, nephew's birthday party because some family members saw what, Summer House and they didn't approve. And I think those are sometimes the real life consequences of reality TV that most people don't talk about. And, his edit was, he's doing what you do in a summer house. If you're a hot dude, you're bringing girls home, and he was nice enough to share that with the world, even though he would cover up the camera with his socks or whatever.
And production would just say like Imrul's friend.
Yeah,
like,
we never saw any of the women.
We never saw a single one.
Yeah, so I think those are the real life consequences we don't think about. Part of I'm guessing, or I think that maybe he made the decision and told them, like, I don't want to come back next season if it was even offered. And so you notice that they started editing him out less and less towards the end of the season. So part of me was like, maybe he told them, and that's also why the reunion, they did not clarify this. I do not know this information, but it doesn't make sense to me otherwise that I'm like, he can't even be out there to give opinions.
In fact, they edited him. I was reading that he was at the house, right, and they removed him from within the episode.
Yes.
Which, I mean, not since Below Deck, when they fired the guy when he was, busted for did he beat up a woman? And then they retroactively removed him from the rest of the season. I felt like that's the treatment that Imrul got.
Well, I always
and I wasn't such a huge fan of Imrul.
Well, no, I mean, I was, they did, he was the orgy beast, and that was fine. It was like a one thing, but it's also your first season. And also the reality of that is if you are meeting new people for the first time, maybe like second or third season be the orgy beast. Like maybe spend time getting to know the actual people before you're bringing in strangers to the house.
Agreed. And it's like, it also pulls you away from the group.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And that's all you're doing. You're entertaining other people. Then you're not going to be in the kitchen with Kyle, going
well, I want Kyle alone doing monologues and singing and eating junk food.
And for me, I feel like it's so performative. Anytime someone's alone,
for some reason, I can take his I agree with you. There is a performative nature, but I think there's a performative nature about Kyle in general.
Definitely. I still say he has the best Adam's apple on Bravo. I love Kyle's Adam's apple.
I love that you were like, I'm going to go out on a limb. I know everybody says it's somebody else. Like, nobody's talking about Adam's apple.
What was so funny is every now and then I'm like, I like this part about him and this part about him. Like, I would
God
take
bless
this
you
from,
with a great
this
Adam's
from Carl,
apple.
This from Kyle.
Wait, so you've built your perfect Summer House cast member?
Yes, and I've used Kyle's Adam's apple.
The Adam's apple?
Yeah, that's all I want from him. But from season one, I like his hair. Fine, he's got good hair. He also seemed.
Is this like a foot fetish, like an Adam's apple thing?
No, I don't have an Adam's apple thing. But if I'm going to take one thing from each person, that's what I would take from him.
Yeah.
I really admire his Adam's apple. I have, as I said.
What would you take
from
Carl?
Carl, his height.
His lankiness, yeah.
He's not lanky. He has hips.
Why don't you talk about Bravo nonstop?
It's not
These are things I
pejorative.
don't
He
even
has
think about. I've
him.
never thought about it. Who's the hottest guy in Summer House?
It changes. It depends.
Like Wes, Jesse Solomon, and I need your Jesse Solomon thoughts.
I would say Andrea is probably.
Andrea Denver.
Yes.
I'm Andrea.
Denver. Why did he do that? Just because
He
he
loved
likes
the Denver
Nuggets.
Nuggets. Yeah.
But his last name is like Salerno.
Yeah, it was like actually a beautiful last
name.
name.
He got married recently.
He got married. And
in Italy.
Paige is single now, and I wonder if he's like, because remember, Andrea was hitting on Paige, and they kind of had like a little flirtation, and then the Craig
it was
thing.
big.
I know, but I was like, the Craig thing happened, and she kind of had to make this choice.
She made her choice.
And now I wonder if Andrea, newly married, sees that and is like, oh.
This is going to be really catty, which is not a space I normally
No, I
find
know.
myself
Thank
in
you
publicly.
for letting.
What is? I don't. Paige's reunion dress. It had that weird. She looked like the soprano from the movie The Fifth Element.
Yeah.
It was. I'm not somebody who normally would even think that.
Doug,
But I was like,
I don't know how to
what
dress,
is
so
that?
I
Yeah,
never.
me neither.
So
That's why
it's great when I hear fashion comments because I'm like, I don't even see it. Like I'm colorblind.
I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Like the whole bed thing. I thought
coming
that whole
at
thing
Paige
was
for her
rather
fashion,
weird.
and that's what she does.
I
Doug.
love Paige. Well, I always approach it like it's not me thinking that she looks odd. It's like I don't get it. Like it's beyond my ken. It's
beyond your comprehension.
Yes, I don't.
You're like, maybe the kids get it, but this is
Exactly.
how I feel.
Like I just don't. I don't know. I didn't understand it.
What
and
did
I'm
you-
sure that it means something.
I know you watch Southern Charm as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why absolutely? Why are you so passionate?
I love Southern
See, now
Charm
that
also.
to me is weirdly, even though they act like brutes, more refined than Summer House. So I can understand you liking Southern Charm.
It's gotten less good to me over the years. Southern Charm seasons 1 through 7, 6 maybe, I loved. I like it less now.
Why?
Once like the Madison and when the cast sort of completely changed over,
Yeah.
it lost it for me.
So you liked the Thomas Ravenel days.
Absolutely.
I mean, by the way, when you look back at that, it is kind of horrific. Like them all going for Catherine Dennis, a very, very young woman.
Yeah.
But you can't argue that it wasn't real. You're like, that is real.
Wait, what was the name of the store that she used to shop at? And then she worked Midge's.
Well, I think
No, it's not Midge, but it's something like that.
But yeah, I mean, extremely dark. If you haven't like watched Southern Charm ever, I mean, it's very different now than how it started.
Yeah, and it's all on Peacock because I've gone back. Like, so I'm right now, I went back to Summer House season 1, and I've been watching Summer House since the beginning. I'm now up to, I'm already past the COVID. I feel like I'm in
the
season
COVID
6 or
season. I
7.
thought was great. Like I was like, well, one good thing came out of COVID.
Remember the stove never worked?
Yes, and I talked to one of the producers. I was like, "Did you do that on purpose?"
And?
Because I was like, "No." They said, "No, it actually didn't work." Because I was like, "What a brilliant thing! It's just to break." Or even the door this season. I was like,
Yes, the door.
They fixed the door finally, but I was like, keep making it harder to get in there because Wes throwing his body up against the door was like physically funny to me.
It was great. It's like a great callback too, and every time they go and they can't open the door.
Well, Southern Charm, like Craig Conover, obviously him and Paige, Dunzo. What was your take or opinion on that relationship?
We sort of knew that it wasn't going to work. When he says, I don't want to move to New York, she says, I'm not going to move to South Carolina. So it's already sort of doomed. I didn't see it coming how proud he is in respect to like being against a successful woman. And I feel like we've learned that now after the fact when Paige revealed that he said something about like, I don't want it known how busy and successful you are, or something to that effect. And that really surprised me.
But it also is very Southern gentleman.
It is, and also, we go back to remember when he, with law school, and did he mail in the application? Did he not? How long that went on, and what a wreck he was when he went to the boss's house for a drink, and the boss fired him. Remember that?
Yes,
and
yeah.
He was like, "What? Huh?" He was so surprised. So I feel like there were these seeds planted all these years ago. So I wasn't surprised, but I was bummed because I thought they were a really cute couple. I own a set of pillows
from Sewing Down South.
Sewing Down South. They're in my house. They're great pillows. Good job, Craig.
Well, I like Craig a lot, even with, you know, the strange relationship to the truth that he has. But like, I like him, and it's one of those weird breakups where I'm like, yeah, I like both of them. Sometimes things don't work, you know? Like, I'm like, I thought it might, but it didn't. She's obviously really busy and really successful.
Right.
Were you bummed that she is leaving Summer House?
Yeah, well, that all just happened. And then,
last week.
Then I heard that Carl said he was leaving, but I guess he
completely fake. There's an account that keeps there's an account that keeps putting out fake, and this one even Andy Cohen bought. He was like he on his radio show. He was like, "Oh man, tough to see without Carl." And then I realized it was fake. Even you're fooling Andy Cohen.
So only Paige said she's not coming.
Paige
back?
is not coming back, and Lexi is not coming back so far officially.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I suppose.
Well, I mean, that's another one, kind of like Emerald. We paint you as the orgy beast, and then she didn't necessarily paint herself in the corner, but it's like, oh, you have the Jesse storyline, and they don't want you to have it anymore. Like, that's it.
I mean, for me, again, I'm the wrong consumer because I just feel like too young. Like I just
you're watching for Adam's apples, and that's like. No, you're right about the too young thing in a sense, and that's what I was talking about earlier with Love Island USA, where this week I was watching, I was like, oh, I'm starting to feel dirty, man. Like, I'm starting to feel like I'm watching these girls gyrate, and I know that sounds puritanical, but I'm like, more power to them. But like, I felt weird watching it, you know?
That's the thing is like, you know, now the Next Gen series, it's like, how much do I want to watch people in their 20s like not even behaving badly, just not knowing better. And like, I don't need to be the one to educate.
Well, you have that conversation with yourself. You're like, well, they're just young. They'll learn.
Right.
And I'm like, do I want to watch television where I keep saying they're young, they'll learn?
Right. Well, that's but the thing is, fewer and fewer people are watching television anyway, right?
Yep.
And we also know that people in their 20s are actually not really brand loyal. They will go from thing to shiny object to shiny object. And so it sort of fascinates me and it bums me out that so much programming is being created specifically to garner that group, which is not going to be loyal.
They're fly by
anyway.
night, yeah.
So, and then people like me are sort of left behind. That's why, you know, it's just like, getting old. But I got Gilded Age coming up, you know, so.
Well, I'm like Kyle, where I'm like, I'm going to watch Summer House till it's like last episode, and I want Kyle there as well. I don't want him to get cut because of age.
Right.
Which, by the way, I got sent the third season of Gilded Age, the entire season.
You didn't?
Yes.
How is it?
I just got an email today. I'll send it to you. Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, I figured you would be. So Summer House, Kyle and Amanda, we had that relationship being talked about at the reunion.
Yeah.
And to me, I keep telling the audience, to me, that was the darkest moment of the reunion because here they're deep into their marriage, their relationship. And the more they talked, the more it was like, yeah, like, you know, he's busy all the time and I'm happy doing my own thing. And I was like, oh, this to me is the darkest relationship there because there's a lot at stake.
And it has been, though, since the beginning. Lest we forget, season 1, they were hooking up because they used to date, and she was there almost the entire season, just as his little, you know, Friday night gal. But then they always seemed to hate each other. Where he seemed to hate her because she hated him for going out and not. Remember 25? Call number 25. Call number 26. Kyle, where are you? Kyle. I mean, and it's like it was so sad to watch that. They really seemed like George and Martha. They really hated each other.
Did you do a Days of Wine and Roses reference?
No,
George and Martha. Virginia Woolf. You did a Virginia Woolf. I was like, Virginia Woolf. Yeah.
But that's sort of what we watched.
Yeah, exactly. No, totally. So it does. I guess it's not surprising, but what's surprising is this is the first season where it feels like Amanda has accepted the relationship.
Yes, and notice she was seated in
the first position.
In the first position, which Andy always says is, I guess, not a. Oh no, he says it's not a thing on Watch What Happens Live.
Yeah,
but it is a thing.
Well, I think it's definitely a thing on Housewives. This I couldn't really still make heads or tails of why. Like I got Paige but I was like, Amanda, good for her. I was like, that's great.
You know what else? What I now that I have been watching it back since the beginning, it's interesting because Sierra was brought on by Luke. When I was rewatching, I was like, oh my God. If you're sports fans, if you're not a Summer House fan, I'm sorry. But it really is interesting to those of us who are.
Yeah, but there's a lot of jocular sports guys listening, as you point out. Luke, I actually really liked. Like I thought there was enough.
He was a tool.
No, come on. He's like suit and tie, hair slicked back. He would light the fire.
Do you remember
and
the fight they got into with Kyle and Carl when that was during the COVID season? It was at fisticuffs.
This is about Hannah?
Yeah, they dragged Luke out, and he had to sleep in a hotel.
Oh yeah.
And Amanda was holding Kyle back by his underwear.
They always bring it in some episode. But to me, this I always explain like, oh, I like it because it's just vibes. Like it's like to me, it's like this season, not a lot happened, just Lexi and Jesse, but I still enjoyed it. I still looked forward to it every week, weirdly enough. How do you think the Jesse and West of it all will play out? Because I feel like Jesse essentially got away with it this season.
He did because there was like bigger fish, that we were worried about. I was bummed out last season by Jesse. This season with Lexi, you
didn't care.
I didn't. I felt sometimes I just feel like you say, well, they deserve each other, and that's sort of how I felt. Like I don't like him. I don't like her enough to feel bad for either of them, so I just say, well, they deserve each other.
But also, I felt like he got away with a slap on the wrist, but that's also good because I think like, wow, his ego is going to love that. He pays it. He clocks everything. I think he's like a housewife in a lot of ways where I think he's going to mess up royally in like 2 seasons. I'm like, it's like investing in a stock, I really believe in the stock. So it's like right now, I might not be thrilled with how the season ended, but if we keep him around in 2 years, his ego might be even more unchecked and he's going to really screw up.
And I think with West, he was such a fan favorite until he wasn't, right?
Yeah.
Like at the end of this season, we were all in love. Remember, he hurt his face when he was on the tricycle and he got cut, and I was like, oh no. And then he turned out to sort of be a douche.
Well,
and so
he turned out to be a the kind of guys that listen to the show, a jocular male that wanted sex.
He was a douche.
Well, he convinced Sierra.
Well, that's
she was like, I don't want to sleep with you because I think you're. He's like, no. And then he slept with her, and then he broke up with her.
And didn't he take her home?
Yeah. Well, he met. He introduced his family.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then she was like trying to like kind of hint for an invite around Christmas, and it never came. She told us.
Not good. Poor Sierra.
But Sierra also, I think, is like struck with a bad picker. Because she keeps saying, oh, I would never do anything with Jesse Solomon. I don't believe her. I want her to sign some sort of binding document.
I like Sierra. The other question is, what was her name? Becky? What? She was in episode
Maya?
1? No.
Oh, Bailey.
Bailey. What happened to Bailey?
So the thing on Bailey allegedly is that she actually did have a boyfriend and she didn't tell producers. And she was like, so they found out about it and she wasn't sharing that aspect of her life. That was one thing I heard. And the other thing was that she was telling people storylines that were happening or something. I tend to believe
she got fired?
I think she just wasn't asked to continue. Like they invite people like weekend by weekend basis. So even when you see like Gabby's not there one weekend, it's because they told her not to come for the weekend.
Oh, because a lot of times they'll be like, Lindsay's not coming, she's at a wedding.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever.
A lot of weddings happen, and I think Jesse Solomon told me that last season when he was on, and Bravo made me cut it at the time. Because I was like, why didn't you go to the Hamptons? Come on, man. We saw that you were partying there in an Instagram post. He was like, yeah, because they told me I couldn't be on that weekend,
Wow.
And I was like, what a weird cost-cutting measure potentially, or
that bums me out.
I know,
to hear.
I know, because classic Jesse Solomon, he was like, no, I was there, I still wanted to be there, I just, Okay, so we talk all about this reality television that a lot of people make fun of me for.
Me too.
These can be considered guilty pleasures, but in terms of your life, what is your favorite television show of all time? It doesn't have to be reality, and it can be as you don't.
I would never
tell me.
No, I'm sorry, I can't. I would never be able to put that into.
But do you remember as a kid, what's the first thing that moved you?
I mean, listen, I loved Heart to Heart. I loved Heart to Heart.
Who is it? Who's the chauffeur?
Max. Max. This is Jennifer Hart. She's gorgeous. I take care of both of them. And when they met, it was murder.
Yeah, my buddy used to.
So I loved Heart to Heart. And so when I was a kid, I was only allowed to watch 4 television shows a week.
Was it Mommy Dearest? What
that was our rule, except I was allowed unlimited PBS. So I could watch as much PBS as I wanted, but I would have to pick 4 TV shows. And so I love how smart I was. I chose hour-long shows as opposed to half-hour shows, but Heart to Heart was on, and I guess my bedtime was at 30-minute mark, because it was a big deal if I was allowed to stay awake to watch Heart to Heart. I loved Heart to Heart. I loved Wonder Woman. I loved Love Boat.
Yeah.
And then, like all
Did you know even Andy Warhol was on Love Boat?
No. Oh, it makes sense.
I saw a TikTok where it was like Andy Warhol on the boat, and he showed up, and he just wanted to do, it was like a kitschy thing, and it was like one of the biggest shows.
Well, everybody was on Love Boat.
Tom Hanks was on there. Pre-Tom Hanks that we know now.
Yeah, I'm telling you, when you watch, one thing I love about Love Boat, because now it's on Nick or whatever, one of those channels. So I was watching an episode probably about a year and a half ago, and I had not seen Love Boat in 20 years, right? They used a sound for the doors opening and closing of the cabins. And it's the exact same sound that they play over and over again. Every time someone opens and closes the door,
same sound
they play
effect.
the exact sound effect, that same audio clip. And I could not stop thinking about it. Like, I challenge you and sports fans at home to find a clip of Love Boat, and you will hear this weird, like, click open, click closed, no matter who, where, what time, what door.
Well, now I'm putting it together. It's like young Doug Budin loves Love Boat, older Doug Budin loves Below Deck.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't swim, and I'm afraid of the water.
Wait, you were going out to the Hamptons and the Sag Harbor and all that? You never got in the water?
No, I don't swim. I bought my first bathing suit like 2 years ago.
And what was that for?
I don't even remember why I bought it. I think to own one.
Just to know what the kids feel like?
My family would vacation on the west coast of Florida every year. We would rent a house on Captiva Island, and I went into the Gulf of Mexico once. I would go up to the thigh, and I saw what I thought was a shark, and I started screaming, and of course it was a dolphin.
But it scarred you so much that you never...
Yeah. Well, growing up, I was this is so lame, but I was very allergic to chlorine. So I was never allowed to put my head underwater. And so I just didn't learn how to swim. And I was given a very healthy fear of the water. And so I decided that I must have drowned in a previous life. But I grew up with this big fear of the water. I don't like sailing. I've been on sailboats. They really scare me. I went on a cruise.
So you would never be able to be on Below Deck?
Well, I don't know. Nobody's asked me. I went on a yacht, and somebody said, like, you won't feel it. And my friend Brian and I did a Viking cruise, and I felt good about that because there's land.
Yeah.
We went up the Rhine River. There's land 20 feet to your left and 20 feet to your right. So, like, I felt good. But the open sea, I don't think I could handle it. Really, really scares me.
But you've done jacuzzis.
No.
Really?
No.
Really?
The thought, no.
I don't know why that fast.
The thought
really?
of that's to me, that's like man soup. I feel that's dirty. I do. I have a germy thing.
You could still, if you're in there with Kyle, you could still see his Adam's apple. Like it would be
not even Stassi Schroeder.
Wouldn't that great? Yeah, but they texted me about there was I forgot which season when Kyle wrote the 16-page email to the gang, like ripping them a new one.
Yeah,
and we had all these screenshots of the email.
Yes,
and I remember Kyle was like, well, "Yeah, you don't have the whole email though." And I was like, "Give me the whole email, Dad." He's like, "I don't even have it." Yeah, you do.
Yes, of course he does.
Have you ever met any of the Summer House cast in real life through Jeff or anybody on the show?
I don't think so. I saw I saw the Southern Charm people at BravoCon. They're all so tall, but I've never seen any of the Summer House people.
Well, you met Frasier, or you had
on Below Deck. I mean, I barely got to meet him. I had an extremely embarrassing encounter with Frasier where security made me leave because I was so uncomfortable. It was horrible.
Frasier is on Below Deck that you can actually see every Monday. He's the chief stew.
Yeah.
So as we start winding down here, because you've been so nice to come out all this way here.
That bad?
No, it's amazing. Are you
that
kidding me?
Like, we're done.
No, it's like no.
It's fine. Whatever, Ryan.
Wow, ruining the intro and some of the outro. It's amazing. I asked you this last time, but I was like, when you were a kid, you wanted to be like the dream was to be an actor, right?
Yeah,
that was the dream. And then where you're at right now, I always think about this. Like I was like, I don't dream like I did as a kid. Do you like have like a Doug vision board? I know that sounds cheesy.
Well, for a while, I truly had the goal of buying a chateau in France above the termite line, and running that as a B&B. Which, by
the way, if for those that don't listen to Jeff Lewis earlier, Doug actually has, it's kind of a joke a little, but he actually made a little Doug B&B at his home. Yeah. And so some of Jeff Lewis's guests, like Vicky Gunvalson, christened it.
Brittany Haynes is staying next week.
Lisa Donovan was just there. Like, so people will actually come, and he's got like a bathrobe, and he cooks for you, gets croissant and coffee, the whole deal.
So when I was having a colonoscopy the day before, you know how you have to like just stay home, right, the day before you're doing all your prep. And I binged the entire series of Escape to the Chateau, which is, if you have not seen it,
no.
I do recommend you add it to your list. It's this British couple, Dick and Angel Strawbridge, who sell their home in London and they buy a chateau, that's how they say it, a chateau. They buy a chateau in France for like £200,000. And they refurbish it and open it up as a B&B and like a wedding venue. And it is such a charming, amazing, warm series in the way that a lot of those shows can be. And I watched the entire series, and something changed within me. Something wasn't the same. I was like, "What? This is me. This is what I want to do." And I love hosting.
Yeah.
So that became sort of my retirement vision, and I've been looking at chateaus. There's so many.
Is like the termite
sale.
line like an actual thing that people all know about?
There is a termite line in France, and you want to buy to the north of the termite line, because these homes are so enormous and so old that when you buy south of the termite line, you're just inviting a host of additional refurb and problems.
I want to fight for the termites' rights. I mean, like, I feel like that. Wait, so that's something that you would actually do?
I would love. I hope.
Come on,
that
wait,
I live
now
long enough to do it, but that's a goal.
That's your reality series. I know you don't want to do one, but Doug opening an actual chateau, and are you kidding me?
Wouldn't you love to come if you come to France? And we would go to the farmer's market, and I would have bikes, and you'd be like, "Oh, you want the picnic package?" And I would have the basket ready for you.
That's the life that I know I can't relive this life over again. But that's the life I wait. Like the going to get a baguette on a bike, and like sometimes I will like envision myself with like and not being weird about my legs and wear some shorts and like getting a newspaper and just had like a real and waving actually making eye contact with people.
Yeah,
that sounds beautiful.
Yeah,
how can we do that?
We'll see.
Screw all of this. Like anyways, how do we you're doing this out of the kindness of your own heart? But Doug Budin on Instagram. We have Cookin' Kibbitz every Thursday. Most. Just if you follow him, you'll know.
Oh, you should. Yeah, follow me on Instagram.
But I don't know this will be out yet. But you're going over to Sarah Colonna's.
So this week I'm at Sarah Colonna and John Ryan's. Next week, I'm at the home of Crystal and Rob Minkoff.
And Brittany Haynes will be there?
No, just Crystal and Rob. The following week, I have you
and Kirby,
and Ana Quincoses.
Oh, yeah, from Real Housewives of Miami.
Yeah, so that'll be at my place. So join me most Thursdays. And then we've got DeBarbara.
Did you add Ana Quincoses because you didn't think we were heavy hitters enough for
Thank you so much for joining us today on Ryan's Pod. No, I was so excited. Anna has a new cookbook out. And we had said, she had said, like, the next time I come to L.A., can we do a Cookin' Kibbitz? It just so happens it's that Thursday. And I said, well, I already have two friends coming on. But I said, just come along. We're going to have fun.
No, the C&Ks, if you have never checked it out, it's like fun. You get to learn like kind of a simple dish and like it actually tastes really good and it's so fun in the comments and stuff like that.
We have fun.
Yeah, great. And then every week you're on Jeff Lewis Live, C&K, Truffle Salt.
Yes.
That's what I want to talk about.
Thank you, Ryan.
Now, we're on our second jar of the Truffle Salt. So where do I find it?
If you go to saltery.store.
And then use code.
The code Doug Loves Salt will get you 15% off and free shipping on the Cookin' Kibbitz Truffle Salt.
I know this sounds like I'm kissing ass, but like I'm on this like health journey for this last month and a week, and I'm like.
And you look fantastic. You really do.
But I'm really like, there's only a few spices and stuff I can use, and I can have like a couple of pinches of salt. And when I tell you, I look forward to the truffle salt. It's like the one thing I have going in my life is these little pinches of truffle salt.
Well, it's an enhancer, but I'm sorry, I don't give a shit about your time. what does this mean? You should be able to use a lot of herbs and spices.
No, and we do, but the truffles, the salt is the one I look forward to the most.
Okay.
Because like there's like we do the paprika, we do all
Yeah.
that stuff, but the salt is what I'm wanting.
Because truffle it has umami, right? So it brings out the flavor of whatever you're serving.
But this partnership has been so successful, like all kidding aside, is there plans to actually do more with Saltery?
Yeah, we have what we in the biz call some product innovations that will come out, I think, for
the next holiday season, right?
Yes.
So go actually check that out. I wish I'd led with that because that I can personally recommend.
Since everybody's turned this off by now.
No, God, are you? What are you making me? This is amazing. Are you kidding me? Was this better than Heel to Feel? You got to say no. You got to say no because Liat.
Heel to Feel had catering.
Okay.
They had a crew.
And good night, everybody. They did like that's really actually I do support Heel to Feel.
No, I had so much fun. I really did. I've known Liat though for many years now. Liat liked me because I said that she was from South Africa, and Jeff was like, "Why are you saying it like that?" I said, "Because people from South Africa say South Africa," and he said, "No, they don't." And Liat was like calling in to say, "Yes, that is how we say it." And so
people from South Africa say influencer.
Look how you just said.
Okay.
Ryan, I hate that.
Bye,
I
you guys.
apologize for correct. Oh, bye, everybody.